just confirmation that Julen Lopetegui is no longer the West Ham manager, and his coaching staff have all been relieved of their duties. The club say the process of appointing a replacement is underway. Alex Crook rejoins us. Alex, do we know the timeline on Graham Potter yet? They say it's underway. I mean, it's all been kind of conducted in public. Say it was a full 48, literally a complete 48 hours ago that you came on at this point and said he's gone, and here we are. It's been shoddy.
It has been, yeah, absolutely. And I've got to say that line in the statement did make me chuckle. We all know the process of appointing a successor is not only underway, but pretty much complete. My understanding is that Graham Potter is probably arriving at London Stadium around about now to conduct his in-house media interviews. We're expecting an announcement on his appointment, if not tonight, then certainly early tomorrow. And I think the plan is that he will take training tomorrow and be in the dugout for the FA Cup third round tie at Villa Park, live on talkSPORT on Friday. So West Ham finally getting their ducks in a row. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, I think it's poor that Julen Lopetegui had to take training this morning, knowing that would be the last time he would take training as West Ham manager. But Lopetegui goes, Potter comes in. I'm intrigued to see the makeup of Graham Potter's backroom team. He tends to use the same tried and trusted people. You wonder if Bruno Salter, who worked with him at Brighton and Chelsea, will be part of the staff. I would imagine he would be. I think both of them still live in Hove and obviously both enjoy a close working relationship. So I'll try and get confirmation of that, and indeed the contract length, because as I mentioned to you earlier, the big hold up really has been that initially West Ham were only offering a deal to Potter until the end of the season. He wanted some kind of longer term commitment built into the deal, and we expect that now to be the case.
It's going to be a big job for him and a difficult job. They've got a very static midfield, West Ham. They've got no pace in midfield, and they do lack striking options. And they've got some very good players, of course. They've got Bowen, they've got Kudos, but I think it's a very difficult job for him. It will be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, well, obviously he's not going to have Jarrod Bowen for a few weeks. No. I think Danny Dyer was suggesting that he'd be back sort of end of February, so his return will be welcome. Obviously, Michail Antonio is going to miss the rest of the season, and interesting to see what happens with Nicholas Füllkrug now, because there were whispers last week that maybe they might be willing to let him go back to Germany on loan. We'll keep an eye on that. Evan Ferguson is a player that West Ham have already inquired for about potentially taking on loan from Brighton. Of course, he's got a pre-existing relationship with Graham Potter, so you wonder if that approach is maybe a bit more than coincidence now. And two other players I know they've looked at your club, Chelsea, Kane Chukwuemeka, who's available, albeit as long as somebody's willing to pay his £40 million release clause, and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall as well, yet to start a Premier League game for Chelsea. They're open to offers for him, and he's another on West Ham's shortlist. Because
I like him. He's got a lot of energy. He'd be good for them. And Chukwuemeka's a very good player.
Nice one. We'll see. Alex, thank you. We'll hear from you later, I'm sure.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers, guys.
Alex Crook there. We'll keep an eye on that once we know what's going on with Graham Potter and the timeline. Alex will let you know. It'd be good to see Billy Reid back, coaching's foremost Henry VIII lookalike, alongside Graham Potter in the dugout. West Ham fans, interested to hear from you. It's official. I mean, you knew he was going. What do you make of Graham Potter? Are you excited by the prospect from what you saw at Brighton? Probably more Brighton than Chelsea. 03717 223344, talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. 03717 223344 if you want to give us a shout, and the boys on drive will be taking your calls if you can't get through to us. And interested to hear from you. Let's just return to Tim very quickly. Tim, you keep an eye on the Premier League. Not a massive surprise, but the guy was sort of hanging on for 48 hours, took 2 training sessions, and last night was supposed to have gone to a team bonding meal, which surprisingly was called off. So another Premier League manager bites the dust.
Yeah, very shabby, isn't it? Very shabby. We were talking about the kind of Santos dilemma. And West Ham is a little bit like that on a smaller scale, isn't it? Because, there's what do you want to be if you're West Ham? Mid-table, David Moyes. No, it's not good enough. We want to be more than that. We want to be West Ham. We want to be expansive. So they try that and it doesn't work. Good luck to Graham Potter. It seems to me like a kind of make or break appointment for his career, isn't it?
We did ask for West Ham fans to tell us what they made of that. They've had time to digest it because we've kind of known for 2 days. Sean is a West Ham fan. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Paul. How you doing, mate? Cheers, lads, for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. So, Graham Potter. It looks like it's going to happen. What do you think?
So, in my opinion, me and a few of the West Ham fans in our WhatsApp group I didn't like the appointment of Lopetegui at the start of the season. I didn't think it was the right manager. I mean, I'm not saying that there was any better out there, but I don't think he was the right choice at the time. Now that Potter's coming in, hopefully, like you said, it's been known for a couple of days. The way it's been dealt with, I don't agree with it. I think it should have been done and dusted before anything was said. You know, if you look at Lopetegui's point of view, I'll be quite annoyed with how it's gone down. Taking training and knowing your head's on the guillotine sort of thing is a bit much for him.
Sure.
But that said, I would say Potter's a good manager. He worked wonders at Brighton, as we all know. I don't think he was given enough chance or time at Chelsea to actually show what he could do. But again, being in another quality team like that, what do you sort of expect? Unless you've got the CV to back it up, what do you sort of expect?
Well, and
really?
it's interesting. Andy's not sure, but his problems at Chelsea were very different to the problems he had he's going to have at West Ham. He's not going to have a squad that he has to hone from lots and lots of players.
But, you know, you still have to be firm. You still have to be a leader. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Look.
I mean, he was a good leader at Ostersund's. Everybody was raving about the amazing
Brighton,
job he did.
You know, we've seen at Brighton, the scouting, the recruitment is so fantastic. They've had a succession of men. They've had him, De Zerbi, and now Hertzler's come in, and they've all done pretty well. And so I wouldn't judge too much on that. Let's see. For me, the jury's out. I didn't rate him at Chelsea whatsoever. I thought he was far too weak.
What about the football he played?
Well, it was not in that, was it? I mean, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that great.
But it was a very specific issue that he had with all of those players.
He had to come in. He had to handle the Champions League, which he'd never handled before. It was a big job. It was too big for him. It was a pretty tricky job anyway. And we saw with Frank Lampard came in and lost a whole succession of games at the end of the season. It was a very unsettled, unhappy squad. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah,
let's have a chat with Sean Whetstone from the More Than Just a Podcast. Hi, Sean.
Good afternoon.
I mean, one of the jobs we were talking about this when this story broke, you know, one of the jobs Graham Potter has got to do over the next few months is to kind of convince players like Bowen and Kudus that the club's heading in the right direction and they can have a long future there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Bowen's got to get fit first. Hopefully he'll be back about mid-February. But yeah, Kudus, Paquetá, you know, there's a lot of individual talent on paper. It just hasn't worked for Lopetegui, and hopefully Potter has the experience in the Premier League. You know, he didn't really have the chance to prove himself at Chelsea. Some would say he was flattered at Brighton by Tony Bloom's recruitment formula and Dan Ashworth's recruitment of players. He's got a lot to prove, and I believe he's putting himself in the shop window. And one of the reasons we offered him a short-term contract with, as we're going to wait to hear, but I think it will be an automatic extension if he fulfills certain metrics, i.e. performance metrics, to stay longer. But you know, I think he's got a lot to prove in coming back in after you know, losing the Chelsea.
Do you think Tim Steiden's lucky to still be in a job? I mean, the recruitment has not been stunning.
I don't think he's long for this role. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Ashworth joins us in the summer.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
To reunite. But I think Tim Steiden has been removed to some. Look, this is the second time he's been banned from the training ground by a manager. He really needs. I understand he's with Graham Potter right now at the London Stadium, having the pictures taken, ready for announcement. I hope they have a good relationship, because Lopetegui's people, and I'm sure this is going to come out in the coming days, have been sort of whispering and saying, you know, someone in the camp was pouring petrol on the fire. And we know that is, and I think there's going to be no love lost between them. But, you know, he's got to get on with Potter. He, you know, signings like Guilherme from Brazil and Füllkrug, where we could have gone for Duran, have not raised his stock, really. And he really needs to prove himself. And I think he's on very, very thin ice. And I think he could certainly go by the summer. And, you know, if you were a betting man, you'd say, well, you know, reuniting Dan Ashworth with Graham Potter could be a dream team again. Yeah,
could be good for you. Tony Cottee was saying much the same thing when the story first broke on Monday. He was agreeing with you there. So nice one. Thank you very much, Sean.
No worries.
Sean Whetstone
had
there.
Some very good players when he went in there. You know, it wasn't just the situation. He just didn't make the best of it. You have to say that.
No, fair enough. Well, we'll see how he gets on.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.